All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Sunday, May 9th. Happy Mother's Day out there to all you mothers that tune into the show here today and enjoy your day. Now, my name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally here today, don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Now, we've won 5 out of our last 7 NBA tier package picks on that Patreon page. We're also hitting at 65% in our last 17 NBA tier package picks in that very same category. Coming off a winning day yesterday in our 5 premium sports picks, we currently have over 1,150 members who are signed up and active on that site. And if you want to join those folks and get in on the action, link for that page is in the description section below. Once again, that's patreon.com/BrockPage. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and start off with a banger. Pretty good game here. I'm talking about the Heat. It's just one team, not the Heats, but the Heat versus the Celtics, 1 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Boston's -1, totals 220.5. But despite being the slight favorite in this one, the Celtics have lost 2 out of their last 3 ball games, and they've been pretty bad against the number here recently. Boston failed to cover the number in 7 out of their last 10 ball games, and they rank in the bottom 10 in defending the 3 ball at home. Jaylen Brown also might sit this one out here today as well, as he's listed as questionable with an ankle. Now they're taking on a Heat squad who won 7 out of their last 10, and they successfully covered the point spread in 70% of those contests. Miami's one of the best defensive teams in the NBA on the road. They're in the top 3 in road points allowed, top 5 in defending the 3 ball when they travel. Jimmy Butler scores over 21.5 points per contest, 7 rebounds, 7 assists for the starting forward. Meanwhile, Bam Adebayo is averaging 19 points a game himself, along with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Miami allows just 106 points a game when they travel. Very sound defensively this year. When it comes to the total on this one, the Heat 17-15 to the under when they travel. Meanwhile, Boston saw contests recently with Chicago, Brooklyn, and Phoenix stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward Miami Heat +1 and the under 220.5. Next contest, it is going to be Knicks versus the Clippers, 3:30 p.m. Eastern start time. The LA Clippers are -8, totals 216.5. Now, this is a pretty hefty number for a Clippers team who hasn't covered the point spread all too well here recently. Now, out of LA's last 8 ball games, they successfully covered the point spread just twice. The Clippers are in the bottom half of the league in offensive rebounding. And they also failed to cover the point spread in 10 out of their last 13 meetings with a member of the Atlantic Division. So kind of a quirky trend there, but certainly applicable here and something you want to think about if you're firing on this game. Now, the Clippers are taking on a Knicks squad who still leads the NBA defensively in points allowed. The Knicks are also giving up just 104 points a game when they travel. The Knicks lead the NBA in defending the 3 ball. They're also holding their opponents to just 32% shooting from beyond the arc when they travel. Julius Randle is scoring over 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, 5 assists for the forward. Meanwhile, RJ Barrett is averaging over 17.5 points a game himself, 5 rebounds, 3 assists for the starting guard. The Knicks have also done a nice job covering the point spread away from home. They're 21-13 against the number in their road games, and that's good for 62% in that particular category. Now, total-wise, the Knicks did see 3 out of their last 4 ball games get over the number. They're also 70% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Clippers are 19-16 to the over as the home team. They also went 7-3 to the over in their last 10 meetings with New York. I'm going to lean toward New York Knicks +8 in the over 216.5. Next ball game, it is going to be Pelicans versus the Hornets, 7 p.m. Eastern tip-off. The Charlotte Hornets are -4, totals 221. And if you like the Pelicans in an upset victory on the road here, they're +145 for some money line cash. Now, the Pels continue to have injury, problems. Adams is questionable. Ingram's doubtful. Of course, Zion Williamson, he is a fractured left ring finger. He's going to be out indefinitely. The Pelicans lost 2 out of their last 3 ball games, and they've also been pretty bad when they travel. New Orleans is just 12-20 straight up as the road team. And they rank in the bottom 3 in the NBA in defending the 3 ball on the road. The Pelicans are also giving up 116 points per contest away from their home court as well. They're taking on a Charlotte team who won 3 out of their last 5. And they play some pretty good defense on their home court. The Hornets are currently in the top 3 in defending the 3 ball at home. They're giving up just 108 points a game at the Spectrum Center. Terry Rozier scoring 20 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, LaMelo Ball's averaging over 15.5 points per contest himself, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for Ball. Now, Devontae Graham has been listed as questionable with some knee problems, although I'm fairly optimistic he'll play today. This is a game, actually, down the stretch here. Charlotte needs to be competitive, in the home stretch over the past, over the next week or so. But anyway, total-wise, Charlotte's last 2 straight got over the line, 5-3 to the over in their last 8. Meanwhile, the Pels are 17-15 to the over as the road team, 6-4 to the over in their last 10 versus Charlotte. I'm going to lean toward the Charlotte Hornets -4 in the over 221. Next ball game, Mavs, Cavs, 7 p.m. East. The Dallas Mavericks are -10.5, totals 216. Now the Mavericks have, played some pretty good basketball on the road here this year. They're 20-13 straight up when they travel, and they're in the top 3 in road defensive field goal percentage. The Mavericks are allowing just 108 points a game when they travel. Despite the absence of Kristaps Porzingis here today, Dallas is still led by Luka Doncic, who scores over 28 points a game along with 8 rebounds and 8 assists. Meanwhile, Tim Hardaway Jr. is scoring 16.5 points a game himself, along with 3 boards. Now they're taking on a Cleveland team who's really trying to lose this one today. Dellavedova and Garland are out. Kevin Love is questionable. The Cavaliers are currently on a 9-game losing streak. And they failed to cover the point spread in all 9 of those losses. These guys are really laying it on thick here towards the end of the season, Tankapalooza. But anyway, Cleveland's just 1.5 games ahead of the last place Pistons in the Eastern Conference. And they currently find themselves 25 games below 500. Now, Cleveland's dead last in the NBA in scoring. They're also in the bottom 3 in defending the 3 ball. And when it comes to the total in this one, 3 out of Cleveland's last 4 ball games got over the line, 60% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, 5 out of Dallas's last 9 got over the total themselves, throwing out the Laker game. I'm going to lean toward the Dallas Mavericks -10.5 in the over 216. Next ball game, it is going to be Timberwolves versus the Magic, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. The Minnesota Timberwolves are -7.5, numbers 229. But despite how bad Orlando is, I'm still a little bit skeptical of, laying 7.5 on the road with this Minnesota team. They lost their last 3 straight games, and they've only gotten the W in just 8 of 34 road games. Now, the Timberwolves are currently dead last in road scoring. They're also dead last in defending the 3 ball on the road as well. They allow over 120 points a game when they travel. They also let their opponents make nearly 41% of their 3-pointers in that same category. Now, McDaniels is out. Beasley is still out indefinitely. They're taking on a Magic team who somehow won 3 out of their last 6. And they also posted a record of 4-3 against the spread in their last 7. Now, Orlando is currently in the top 10 in the entire NBA in offensive rebounding. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Orlando Magic +7.5, keeping this one close in the under 229. Next ball game, Bulls versus the Pistons, 8 p.m. Eastern tip. Chicago's -9, totals 220. Now the Bulls are 11 games below 500, bottom 10 in road defensive field goal percentage. They also failed to cover the point spread in 6 out of their last 10 ball games. Now they're taking on a Pistons club who's done a pretty, nice job covering the point spread at home this year. They're 19-13 against the spread at the Little Caesars Arena. They've also played really well defensively on their home court. The Pistons are in the top 5 in home points allowed. Now, Jeremy Grant scoring 22.5 points per contest, 4 rebounds, couple assists for the forward. Meanwhile, Sadiq Bey is averaging just about a dozen a game himself, along with 4.5 rebounds. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Detroit's last 5 got over the line, throwing out the Memphis game. Meanwhile, the Bulls are 19 and 15 to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Pistons +9, keeping that one close, and the over 220. Next contest, Suns versus the Lakers, 10 p.m. East. Phoenix is -7.5, numbers 215. Now, Phoenix won 6 out of their last 7 ball games, 22 and 10 straight up away from home. They're in the top 10 in road points allowed, and they're also scoring 115 points a game. Devin Booker's averaging over 25.5 points a night, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Chris Paul is also averaging over 16 points a game himself, 4.5 rebounds and 8 assists for the multi-time All-Star. The Suns are just 1.5 games back of the Jazz for first place in the West. They're taking on a sputtering Lakers club who lost their last 2 straight, and they also dropped 8 out of their last 10. Now, the Lakers are still going to work here today without LeBron James and Dennis Schroeder. Meanwhile, Kuzma, Caruso, and Caldwell Pope, they're also questionable for tonight's action. Now, the Lakers are currently in the bottom 10 in the NBA in scoring on average per contest. They're also in the bottom 10 in shooting the 3 ball. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, 2 out of LA's last 3 ball games got over the line, throwing out the Portland game. Meanwhile, the Suns saw their last 5 straight get over the total themselves. They're also 80% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean toward the Phoenix Suns -7.5 and the over 215. With that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Thunder versus the Kings, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Sacramento Kings are -9.5, totals 221. Now, the Kings may be going to work here today without Harrison Barnes. He's currently battling a hip injury. Sacramento's also been horrible covering the spread at the Golden One Center. Out of their 33 home games, Sacramento successfully covered the number just 11 times. Now, the Kings are currently dead last in the NBA in offensive rebounding, and they give up nearly 121 points a night on their home court. They're taking on a Thunder team who covered the number in 2 out of their last 4 ball games. OKC's also gone 19 and 15 against the spread on the road this year, and they're currently in the top 5 in offensive rebounding, maybe because they missed so many shots. But anyway, Lou Dort is scoring 14 points a game along with 3 boards for the Thunder. Meanwhile, Darius Bazley scoring over 13.5 points per contest himself, along with 7 rebounds as well. Now, total-wise, 3 out of OKC's last 5 outings got over the number, 60% to the over in their last 10. Meanwhile, the Kings are 20 and 13 at the Golden One Center, 6 and 4 to the over in their last 10 meetings with OKC. I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder +9.5 and the over 221. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Miami +1 under 220.5. New York Knicks +8 over 216 and a hook. I like Charlotte -4 over 221. Dallas Mavericks -10.5 over 216. Orlando Magic +7.5 under 229. Detroit Pistons +9 over 220. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we've won 5 out of our last 7 NBA tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also hitting at 65% in our last 17 NBA tier package picks in that very same category. I'm going to lean toward the OKC Thunder +9.5 and the over 221. With that, guys, now it's time for our shout-outs to our top 10 YouTube commenters over the past couple of days or so. Shout out to Darnell Huff, Trap Boy Sr. Shout out to Wright Parlay, Larry Kent, Zach Phillips, Raekwon Sanders, Tom Frank, David Parks. Shout out to Drake Lawson. And last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to my good friend, Stacy Rivers. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today on my Patreon website, just keep in mind, Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So it's still kind of the, beginning of the month here. So if you do sign up for a package here today on Patreon, you're going to get access to that content all the way through the end of May. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, happy Sunday to you. Happy Mother's Day to you. And don't forget to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.